What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the new Morrigaine fusion today. Going to be giving you guys some tips and some ideas to maybe think it through on how you want to go after it on your account. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about the difference between accounts and what position of the game you might be in, and whether or not you want to consider going after this fusion. We're going to take a look at the rare and the epic and go over whether or not they might be worth grabbing as well. I'm going to start off by seeing this big thing in the bottom left here. Obviously, we had the video last night where we were complaining about Ramontu. We got very lucky this morning. They started the fusion, and we did have some events to finish when I woke up, so I did the artifact enhancement, quickly finished the 30,000 points, and then from there on out, it took about 15 minutes to finish all the other stuff to get Ramontu. So we're all done here. I'm going to wait to claim him during the champ chase. That's going to start tomorrow, I believe, with the fusion, so it's pretty cool, though. We got him. I'm going to look forward to getting him built up and messing around with him. But let's go ahead and jump in here real quick. Go to the portal. And we have the fusion here. Now, we do have a traditional fusion. So we have 2 weeks, 23 hours, 20 minutes to go. And from looking at some of the events, it looks like this is going to be a very difficult fusion because they are not offering the epic champion in any of the events this time. So you will have to get all 16 rares and use them all to get this fusion, unless you happen to pull one of them from some shards if you want to keep an extra copy. So you kind of do have a decision to make here whether or not you want to keep one of these guys or go ahead and go all the way to get Morrigaine. We went over her kit and talked about her a little bit the other day. Basically, she's kind of a turn meter, speed booster type who will have some utility for some accounts. She's also got a 19% speed aura in all battles, which is kind of interesting. And then she's also got this passive, which we've kind of been chatting about where that would be useful, and it's not really in a whole lot of places, but interesting champion. She's got a very cool model. She looks really good, as usual. Of course, undead hordes and magic. We've got so many of those already, but let's go ahead and take a look also at the epic here, which is my Select Priest Ornn. We've seen a lot of videos on him this week. He was launched on the test server and immediately found to be really, really good. Of course, all the content creators made videos about that, and of course, Plarium nerfed it. And that's kind of the cycle you start running into these games, is when the champion is not tested by the company ahead of time, and they give it to the content creators to play with, they instantly start making all these super hype videos, and then the company's like, oh, wait, we probably should not allow that to be so good. This time, unlike Urgrim, they managed to adjust it / nerf it before it went live. So they did adjust a few things on his kit. He's got a 2-hitter on the A1 with the poison. He's got a 2-hitter on the A2 with a chance to instantly activate those poison debuffs. Got another poison points instead of if I could speak this evening, poison and poison sensitivity. God, it's a tough word to get out for some reason today. Heals by 1% of the max HP for each poison placed by the skill. And then he's got the passive here, which increases his HP and defense by 5%. Resets each round. So, pretty interesting kit. I think this guy's still going to be really good for Faction Wars. And from some of the stuff I've been seeing as well, he'll still be pretty good for Dragon 25. Maybe not so much Ice Golem. He could probably still fit into a team there, but I think he'll still be able to solo the higher-end Dragon stuff. So he may still be very attractive if you are someone that's looking to get a solo team for Dragon 25 or work on your late-game Dragon. If you want to just have a bunch of poisoners, you can pair him with like Tomb Lord and have a little bit of fun with that. But I think still a pretty good champion. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do with him a little bit later. And then, of course, we have... I can't look at her from here for some odd reason. That's because I already have copies of her. I'm trying to remember what her name is. Let's go into the index and go down to the new faction, Sylvan Watchers. She's the only rare Kate. That's it, Pathfinder Kate. Now, she's got a pretty cool design for a rare champion. Actually, one of the more detailed looking rares in the game. She's definitely got a lot of that Wood Elf, Lord of the Rings type vibe going on here. Definitely like a Legolas or a Tariel. You can definitely get that feel of the character type from her. Very nice work on a rare champion. So maybe we're going to be seeing more detailed champions as we go forward, even if they're rares and uncommons. She's got a block buffs on the A1. It's a single target, which is kind of that's the only problem I really have with that one there. She's got an attack all enemies with a chance to increase the cooldown by 2 turns on a random skill. That's kind of cool. And then you've got a perfect veil whenever she gets a kill. So interesting kit for a rare. I like the A2. It's kind of cool. I'm thinking she would be nice for the waves, maybe in Faction Wars or somewhere. You could put her in a Relentless set, so she's taking a bunch of turns, getting out that block buffs and the cooldown increase. So when I first saw her, I was a little underwhelmed, but after looking at her kit a second time, it actually looks like it might not be too bad. So I think she's a pretty interesting champion. And I guess you kind of have to decide, is this someone you would try to use in Faction Wars? Because here's the thing, this faction is going to come out pretty soon. They've only released a couple of epics and the legendaries and one rare so far. I'm sure they will release a lot more of these characters before that faction crypt opens. But I wanted to kind of talk about my strategy now, how I'm looking at this. Because I've decided on my main account, this may be like one of the first times I decide in recent memory to not do this fusion, because like I said, it seems like from the events this is going to be a lot harder than usual. Got another brutal champ training to get the 2 of the rares that's going on right now, and quite honestly, I'm so tired of champ training. It's just like, oh, it seems like we're always doing champ training. The other thing too is on my main account here, I want to put it in perspective. I don't really need this legendary. I have Lysandra. I have a pretty good high Katoon that's built up pretty well. I have a lot of turn meter booster champions, speed down champions, so she's really not someone that I'm going to do anything with. The only real reason I do a lot of these fusions now is because I inevitably wind up pulling their duplicate down the road. I pulled a ton of duplicates. If you want to go into my Guardian ring here, look at my faction Guardians, and you can see like we pulled 2 Sigmunds here that we've got in there. Quite a few of these. I've got multiple. I think I have 3 Pixneals altogether. So we pulled a lot of her. I don't actually have any Sacred Order legendary dupes just yet. Barbarians, I've actually got 3 Opardon Clan Fathers. So you can see here there's a bit of a trend going on where we have pulled quite a few. No Lizardmen yet. Skinwalkers. We got 2 of the Tiger. I'm trying to remember what other fusion, but I pulled quite a few duplicate fusion. Like we got 2 Drex Stars here in the Demon spawn. We can go to Undead Hordes. We got a bunch of dupes there. But we pulled quite a few. Actually, 2 of the Tombdrang, he was another fusion. So you can kind of see 2 Brognies. We kind of have a propensity to get the champions who were legendary fusions. We tend to pull them. Actually, you know what? Let me go back to Dwarves for a second. I thought I had 2 Herndigs on this account, but that's really weird. I swear I had 2 Herndigs. So I'm not sure where what happened to those. I'm gonna have to go look for that now. I was pretty sure I had 2 Herndigs on this account, so that's weird. So anyways, yeah, we're gonna have to decide really. Now on my free-to-play account, I've already decided we're skipping the fusion on the free-to-play, and again, because I really don't need her on that account. And the other reason is on my free-to-play account is I don't have a lot of shards all the time. I only get what I save from doing clan boss and other stuff like getting the ancients from the dungeons and getting the ancients and voids from the events. So with another faction crypt that's coming open on that account, it's going to be a lot harder to acquire some of these faction champions. So what I'm going to be doing on the free-to-play account is I'm going to be trying to get a copy of the epic, maybe 1 or 2. Because if I get 2 of them, I can then put it into the faction guardian for the epics. And then I'm probably going to go after and at least get 1 copy of the rare. So that way I have 2 champions already that I can take. You know, the rare I could probably take to 50. The epic I think on my free-to-play might be worth going to 60 at some point just to use in those higher-end dungeons for the poison. And I think that'll give me 2 champions that will be helpful in that faction when it does open. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking there, is I want to get those 2 champions because it's easy to get them now. They're guaranteed basically if you just play a couple of the events. And I can have 2 champions in the new faction already done on that account. Like I said, I don't really need the legendary there. Plus, it's a lot of work this time, and on the free-to-play, you don't have the resources that you do traditionally on an account where you're spending money because you're obviously free-to-play, and it's harder to acquire a lot of those resources, especially if you've been doing fusions. We did skip the last one, so we're kind of going to have double up here now. We'll be able to save up, so when they do a really good fusion that I want to go for on that account, we're going to be set up well to go after it. Then again, here on the main account, again, I really just have 0 use for her anywhere outside of maybe 3v3 arena. But I was thinking about that today, and I actually kind of thought of another champion. We talked about Lysandra quite a bit when we were talking about Morrigaine, but if I come down here and find her, where is she? Somewhere. I should have just sorted this by faction. It would have been a lot easier, but that's fine. Where are my spirit champions? And of course, let's just do it by faction. It'll be a lot easier. So I believe barbarians pop up here pretty quickly. Here we go. So let's take a look at Haikatoon. Now, Haikatoon is one of my favorite champions in the game. She's an incredibly good epic. They give her to you about 30 days into the game. So she can serve as your speed booster, kind of a little bit of turn meter. She does have a speed down. Early on in the game, she's going to probably be your arena lead, but you can also use her for speed boosting in the arena and other places in the game. And I think you can get a lot of use out of her. Now, you'll see my stats on her are pretty good here because we actually have kind of put her into better gear as we've evolved our account. I still use her in 3v3 arena. I use her in some hard Doom Tower teams. I use her in a couple of spots. Still in Faction Wars, actually. But you can see here, I've got her beefed up pretty good. 4,000 defense, 506 accuracy, 243 speed. So she's pretty fast and comes in for that turn meter boosting role. But you can see here, she does have a decreased turn meter on the A3. She's got a fills turn meter of all allies by 15% and places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty nice. And we actually do have her in a refresh accessory here to try to help get back to that. Now, the interesting thing about this too is she's only an epic, but she has a 30% increased speed. Now, Morrigaine only has the 20. I think it's a 20% turn meter and it's a 20% increased speed because Lysandra has 30 and 30 on hers. So I think it's kind of interesting. She actually has a better increased speed buff on her A2, and she's only an epic. And if you're trying to put books into your skills, that's really the only one you want to try to hit. I fully book my Haikatoon just because I use her in a lot of places to get a little bit higher chance on the A1 or the A3. But if you're early game and you want to try to hopefully land that book into the A2 because it just makes it so much easier with that short cooldown. So her A1 is a single target attack. It does have a 30% decreased speed. It's not a very high chance. You can book it up to 50%. So that's not too bad. But overall, she can serve as useful. And then she's also got the same speed aura in all battles. So, that's why I'm saying, like, on my free-to-play account, even here on the main account, we got a serviceable champion that works in similar fashion. Obviously, the rest of her kit's a little bit different with the heal reduction and some of the other things. But if you're just looking for that turn meter champion, that speed down, that speed booster, you can make pretty good use out of Haikatoon, especially as you get later in the game. What I will often tell people is you can use some of these champs you get in early game. As long as you're keeping the gear up and improving the gear, you can see we put her in a perception set and just 4 pieces of speed. And then as we've gotten better accessories, we put those on her as well. And she's still very useful for me at endgame. So that's why I'm really a lot less inclined to go after this fusion. I know a lot of people are hyping it up. It's going to be a great champion like Sandra, but I tend to keep a more even keel on these things. I don't like to get super excited about them because we've seen in the past these fusions get hyped up a lot, and then a couple months later, no one's even using them anymore. So I don't know. It's kind of up to you, again, where you are with your account. Decide what's best for you. Do you have the resources to go after it, first of all? Because nothing sucks more than trying to jump into a fusion, try to get it done, and you get to like the last 2 or 3 days and realize, I'm not going to get all the rares, I'm not going to finish all the epics, and I'm not going to be able to get it, and then you've wasted all that for no reason. Are you in a position where you're still working on Faction Wars? In that case, you may want to take the rare and take the epic champion and just have those copies so you can already have 2 champions ready to go for that faction. And, that way, if you have bad luck with shards and you don't pull any, you've at least got a good start on building a team up for the Faction Wars. And, just kind of figure out where you are. I think the best thing on this one is if you're an early game player that has the ability to do this fusion, it might be worth it to get her as a speed booster. But again, you've also got Haikatoon probably on your account already who you could invest in a little bit as well. And it's just, like I said, it's up to you. Don't listen to anybody who tells you not to do it or to do it, that you have to, or you should skip it. You got to make your own decision. Look at your account. Everybody's account in this game is different. And if this champion really is not going to do much for you, then like I said, you maybe just want to get the rare and the epic so you have them ready to go for Faction Wars. Or you might want to grab multiple copies of the epic to build up your Faction Guardians. And then also have that champion you could use for Ice Golem or Dragon, or wherever you could use him and his poison utility. So let me know what you guys are going to do if you're going to decide to go after him. Like I said, I am probably not going to do this fusion on either account just because I don't really have a need for the champion and I want to try to get ready to go for that faction war. And I like the epic on my main. I think I can do a lot of cool stuff with him since we haven't really delved much into Dragon 25 on this account. I think I have a sub 2-minute team, but if I could get it a little bit faster with this guy, it might be kind of fun to go in there and try to do something with him. So that's kind of what we're looking at here on the main account. And then, like I said, free to play, we're just going to get the rare, get the epic to prepare for faction wars there. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. As always, hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get you an answer as soon as I can. As always, hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.